Welcome to Two Chicks and a Horror Flick, a weekly horror movie review podcast. I'm Tawny Ray.
And I'm Felicia Connor. Subscribe to get new episodes every Wednesday. We dive into trivia, drink a little whiskey, and of course, give our no BS opinions.
Join our Discord server or message us on social media to talk all things scary.
And if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon.
You can find all these links on our website, twochicksandahorrorflick.com. Thanks for listening.
Now let's get scared.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Today, we're going to get to talk about my birthday pick, which I changed last minute. So I was going to do the Neon Demon, but I changed it to Saltburn because Felicia is nice and lets me do whatever I want. So that's cool because this is our podcast. So we should be able to do.
It was so convenient because I totally interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, keep going. Go.
It's so convenient because I was like, you know what? Me and my husband were just sitting there. He didn't care about anything we watched. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch Saltburn.
Yeah.
Because we weren't going to do Saltburn, but I'd happened to watch it.
Yes.
And so it was perfect because I had watched both movies we were going to do.
Yeah. So then I was like, can we just do that? Can I just do Saltburn for my birthday month movie? And she said, yes, that was very nice. So,
yes.
Anyway, so before we get into all of that, today I am drinking water on deck, staying hydrated. I have to tell you, Felicia, I meant to tell you this. I'm going to do it while we're recording. I hung out with some coworkers last night and one of my coworkers just said the very nicest thing about my skin. She was like, you have very nice skin. I don't think anybody's ever complimented me on my skin, to be honest. I was like so taken aback and I was like, oh my God, thank you. She was like, what are you doing? And I was like, let me tell you. I was like, about True Botanicals, which Felicia turned me on to. And so that's what we both use now. But anyway, also hydrating. I was like, I should have said that. I thought about that today. Drinking lots of water. I'm trying really hard to stay hydrated. And I think that's helping a lot. Because also my lips have been fucking mega chapped just because of the cold and like running the heater and all of that. Anyway, all of that to just say, I'm drinking water. Felicia, what are you drinking?
All right. I also am drinking water with fresh squeezed lemons we made friends with the neighbor, like I told you.
Okay.
I think I had mentioned it at some point that we made friends with our neighbor, but they have a lemon tree.
Perfect.
So they brought us fresh lemons. Hooray! No more grocery store lemons. They're so soft and yummy. But what I wanted to tell you about, like I promised last episode, my experience with Magic Mind. So Hopefully you heard Tawny last episode. She was talking about how it helped her with her energy, which I totally agree. Everything she said, go check it out so you could hear. When I started drinking Magic Mind, I was most interested in it for focus. I have so much trouble focusing. Being a mom, being a wife, writing a book, just work projects, emails pinging, the podcast, just wanting to sit down and read a book. Like it's impossible for me. I'll sit down ready to go and I'm just so distracted. And I feel like I'm constantly not being efficient, not being productive. I feel like I do 1,000 things a day. And at the end of the day, I have really completed none. I haven't made any progress. It's super frustrating. So I was really excited for that focus piece with Magic Mind. So I take these little green shots. They have, to me, I like the flavor. It has like a fresh flavor. What I've noticed first and foremost is I don't feel jittery at all. I feel clear and focused. How can I explain it? It's kind of like, wow, I had a good night's rest. I don't feel physically, which is good because like Tawny and you all know, I get anxiety. So I don't like feeling that way. I just feel clear and focused. They really help me start off my day right. I noticed I drink one of those little shots. I have my protein shake and I feel like I'm starting the day off on the right foot because when I sit down to do a project, I'm able to focus on that project. Like legitimately, I sit down, I focus, I stay on task. I have been completing projects at work faster. It's been really helped my writing routine as well. I sit down, nice. I write. I've been doing it consistently throughout the week. And I'm so grateful because it also, I notice I'm able to stay in that creative flow. So once I start working on something, because my day job is also a creative work and design, I sit down and I feel less stuck. I guess. I just feel in flow. So it's been really, really awesome. So how does it do that? Believe me, it does. And how does it? So they have these things called nootropics inside, and it helps improve attention, concentration, cognition. And if you've heard earlier episodes, you know I'm all about strengthening my brain, especially as I grow older. These nootropics help me be more creative because they allow you to stay focused and relaxed at the same time, so you can enter that flow state more easily. One of these nootropics is lion's mane mushrooms. So what this does is it helps reduce anxiety, reduce inflammation, while also supporting cognition by preventing, listen to this, neural degeneration and stimulating neuron regeneration.
That's perfect.
Dude, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Yes, please sign me up for that. Anyways, I've said enough. If you were like me and you struggle focusing, you struggle with energy, any of that, I highly encourage you to try Magic Mind. And the Magic Mind team created an amazing offer for us to share with all of you. So for the month of January only, you get up to 56% off your first subscription and 20% off your one-time purchase with the code 2chicks20. So this is how you do it. Go to magicmind.com/Jan, Jan, 2chicks, TWOCHICKS, and redeem the discount code 2chicks20. But you got to hurry up because the 56% discount only lasts through the end of this month.
You got to get in there because this will be live, I think, on the 17th. So I can't do math, but that's like that's like 7 days, I think.
Maybe if we keep drinking.
Or no, 24th. Yeah, it'll be live on the 24th. So 7 days.
I hope that if we keep drinking this, it'll help with our math skills too. That would be truly magic.
Yes, truly magic. I hope that it could help me realize that we're not in the past, that it's actually not, the 17th has already happened.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I literally sat here and was like, the 17th? Oh yeah? Okay.
Yeah, you're like, sure. Yes.
And TT's birthday was the 15th. Of course.
Oh my God.
I know that Anyways, you guys, energy and focus though.
We're getting it together.
We're getting it together. Oh, you know what? I wanted to say, I thought this fit perfectly too because for my 2024 word of intention.
Oh yeah.
It's really been helping me keep to my intention. My
being
2024
intentional.
goal of being intentional. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
All
okay.
right.
Well, yeah, let's do a little bit of catching up. If I can kind of hit a couple of things first, if you want me to.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I kept a couple of things from last time because I was like, I've said enough in our catch up section. So what I'll tell you today is that we watched a whole season. We've been like really dying for some like reality TV. I think I told you this. Just some competition reality TV. It's just like my favorite thing to watch while we're like eating dinner or whatever, just an episode a day. And we've been just missing that. But we found a good show on Netflix called Drink Masters, which I don't know if it's done by the same people as Ink Masters. Have you watched this?
Is this the one with the bartenders? They create the different drinks and yes,
so
we love
fun.
that.
I was like, this is perfect. This is like right up our alley. Loved it. It was so much fun. We finished that in like a week, but it was a good time if you like competition reality TV shows as well. In addition to that, we did start True Detective Night Country, which I also mentioned on the Stabbies episode. So that is going to be live on January 31st, my birthday. So go check that out. That's Horror Movie Crew's annual Stabbies Award episode. So we talked about it there. But I'm excited about that for 2024 because there's only been one episode. The second one comes out tonight in approximately a couple hours. And it seems really promising so far. I'm really excited about it. We got Jodie Foster in there. So I'm like...
Oh, that's right. Those are the pictures I keep seeing. It's Jodie. Okay.
Yeah.
And so the first episode you watched, you liking it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really liking it. It's like, I feel like it has ties to the first season in the way that the setting is just interesting and different from something that you normally see because it's set in Alaska. So it's like dark night country. And I think the original was in Louisiana, but it was kind of set in like this industrial, like kind of swamp land vibe that I had never really seen before in like a major TV show. And so I thought that was really cool. And I feel like we're getting some of that in this season as well. Just a different location, which is neat. So highly recommend. It's great. I'm assuming you haven't watched it yet.
No, I haven't.
Okay. I think you'll like it, at least so far. One episode in. Last thing that I'll just update on is, I don't think I told you this, but we got some of those $2 million puzzles. Did you get ads for this around Christmas?
No, I didn't. You told me about it.
Oh.
I think at our end of year wrap episode.
Okay.
I never heard of it before.
Yeah. I can't remember if I had told you if we'd started it or not.
I don't think you had started it, or
This
you
thing
didn't
is-
specify.
It's fucking impossible, dude. I'm like, I'm going to finish it because now I feel compelled, both because it's going to irritate the shit out of me until it's finished. But also, what if you win $1 million and you don't put together that fucking puzzle?
Yeah.
You fucking miss out. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to finish it. I'm probably like 30% complete at this point, but it's so hard, dude. It's the hardest puzzle I've ever done. It's like, there's no reference. So you don't know, you just have to fucking wing it. And there's like multiple pieces can fit in the same place. So it's like, how the fuck are you? I don't even know. We're just going through it and trying to figure it out. But we keep having to swap pieces out as we go because we're like, oh, that wasn't right.
Oh, I hope you become millionaires.
Me too. Because
yeah, you got to finish it, because Steve was telling me that, the last Powerball was won, but the one before that, there's a winning ticket out there and it hasn't been claimed.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So either someone knows and they're like prepping their shit,
right, they're getting it together.
Yeah, getting it together, or they don't know, or they lost their ticket and you just kind of assume you're not going to win. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly. You go like, oh, the odds are I'm not going to win, which you're probably not. But, what
but
if you fucking do it?
Has the winning, what was like hundreds of billions of dollars? I don't remember what the one before was, but it was big.
You got to do it. You got to follow through.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that's my update.
No, that's a fun update. All right. Well,
yeah. What have you been up to?
I'm making it more intentional. So I just have 3 things to share.
Perfect.
So first, we watched Oppenheimer last night.
Oh, okay. How was it?
Long. It was very good. It was very good. It was just I just was surprised that it was 3 hours long, but it was really good. We watched it again this morning because Steve fell asleep.
Okay.
So me and the girls, my middle daughter and her girlfriend, not TT, we watched it and it was good. It kept us, we were engaged with it the entire time, but towards the end, it's a lot of dialogue, a lot of facts, a lot of the whole thing is just people talking constantly, really smart people. So
this can get very tiring. Yeah.
Yes. It's better to watch during the day because I felt more engaged this morning when Steve was watching it because he fell asleep. But really, wow, the cast, the acting was brilliant. It was really, really good. It's a big one to sit down with. So just be ready. Just be ready.
I don't know what is going on right now with these like 3-hour movies. I swear to God, like every movie, Poor Things was like 2.5 hours. I think The Holdovers it was like a really great year for film in general last year. And so there's all these movies that I have on my list that I want to see, but they're all fucking 3 hours. Like Killers of the Flower Moon is like 3.5. Oppenheimer's 3. What's another one? The Holdovers, I think, is like a 3-hour fucking movie. And I'm like, you killing me with these. I don't mind a long movie, but goddamn, like that's like half a day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. Okay. Good to know that it was good though.
Yeah, it was good, but you be in the right mindset, like lots of energy, take your magic mind.
Right. Yeah. Before
be able to sit down, focus, don't be tired. Because it's just a lot of dialogue. A lot.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh my gosh, just every episode every scene, there was someone new. Oh, hi, Robert Downey Jr. Hi, Florence Pugh. Oh, hi.
Shit.
Yeah, just constantly. And everyone else's names went right out of my hi, Matt Damon. Okay. And a lot more. It's just a constant flow of new people all the way to the end. So cool. My last two things are books.
Okay.
I finished my first two books of 2024. I don't want to be a cheater. I did start them in December, but I finished them. Okay. So the first book, which I was just bawling, Wayward. 5 out of 5. Wayward. I absolutely loved it. If you love some powerful women, lineage of witchcraft, but it's like a really like a beautiful nature based, not witchcraft like Harry Potter witchcraft.
Okay.
Anyways, it was so beautiful. Thank you, Amelia Hart, for creating that book, and so I could experience it within my life. That's what I posted on social media. Beautiful. And the next book I just finished this morning, and it was The School for Good Mothers. That was a really interesting book. I don't know why I thought it was a horror book. It was definitely dark. So I'm not sure if it's classified as horror or not, but very interesting story. Interesting concept. Was a really good read. So that's what I got going on.
That's awesome.
I also rewatched Saltburn for this episode.
Yay. Speaking of books, does it not count for our reading challenge if we didn't start and finish it in January?
The one that we do with no, it counts. But it would be the amount of pages that you would just want to alter. So for example, when I update our reading challenge, it's not going to be 340 pages. It's going to be less because I counted those pages for December for 2023.
Oh God, I have no idea how to split that up.
I mean,
I'm not gonna.
No, don't. Did you add it to December numbers?
No.
Oh, then just add it to these. It's whatever.
Okay. I'm going to do it.
Do it. Cut this out so we don't get in trouble.
No, I was going to leave it in. I was going to say, come for me, Josh and Mark. Tell me I can't. Tell me I can't.
Oh my God, that's great.
I'm trying to commit to logging though. I want to be back in the competition this year.
Yeah.
So speaking of books, I'm sorry, this is now taking longer than we intended probably. But I finished Dowry of Blood. I told you I was reading that one. About like the Dracula's Brides retelling. It was okay. It was very beautifully written, but it wasn't like surprising in any way. And I think part of that is that the book starts kind of at the end. And so you know exactly what's going to happen. And like, you know exactly how that's probably going to go. Like it's really just a very straightforward story. It's just like, this happens and this happens. And you're like, yep. Okay. Yep. And then that's the end of the book. So like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't as good as I was hoping just from that perspective. But I've started a new, very long fantasy romance book called like When the Moon Hatched, I think is what it's called, by Sarah Parker. It's like 730 pages. I think I'm like 30% of the way through though. I'm making good progress. So
wow.
That's where I'm at now.
That's incredible. You're 30% into a 700 and wow.
Something page book.
You're inspiring.
I'm coming for you, Mark, with your, well, I haven't looked in a few days, but I think he was at like 1,100 pages. Anyway, okay.
Speaking of Mark though, just one thing. I did, my next book that I'm reading is The House in the Cerulean Sea. The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is a book that really moved Mark from a podcast on Elm Street. And he reached out to me. He's like, you have to read this. I just think you're going to love it. And so I got it and I'm reading it. Okay.
Update us. Let us know. I've heard like good things about that one as well. So
yeah.
Okay. Now, is it time? Should we get into this movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So we're talking again about Saltburn from 2023. And the director is Emerald Fennell. Let me grab my notes. I felt really confident, like I could say that without looking at my notes. But I was right. Emerald Fennell. The only other movie that she's directed is, well, other than like a short, is Promising Young Woman from 2020, I believe. Did you see this?
Mm-mm.
It also has Carey Mulligan in it. I watched it. I liked it. It was pretty good.
She played pregnant Barbie in Barbie.
She did. Yes, she was Midge as pregnant Barbie. And actually, I had a little note about that. Let me find it. So both of these movies actually were produced by Lucky Chap, which is the production company of Margot Robbie, Tom Ackerley, and Jose, I think is his name, McNamara. And Robbie and McNamara served as producers on Saltburn along with Fennell. And both films were made in England, so the production overlapped time-wise. So Emerald Fennell was filming those scenes as Midge, and then as soon as like Barbie wrapped up, Saltburn started, and then Margot Robbie, once she was done, was back at work on set for Saltburn.
Nice.
Kind of neat.
Yeah, very, very impressive.
Yeah.
I thought this might be her directorial debut. I didn't realize she had made that other movie, but wow. Even just for it being her second movie, dude.
I know, yeah.
Wow.
She has been an actor in a handful of other movies, but I didn't note those ones down. And she's also been a writer. She definitely was a writer on some of the episodes of Killing Eve, which I love. So I do remember that. But it makes me want to go back and rewatch Promising Young Woman, because I did like it, but I don't think I don't think it was as good as this. This was phenomenal. But yeah, anyway. So getting into the cast, we've got Barry Keoghan, who plays Oliver Quick. Jacob Elordi plays Felix Catton. Archie Madekwe, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, plays Farley Start. Ewan Mitchell played Michael Gavey. And actually, a little fun fact here, he also played Aegon Targaryen in House of the Dragon, if you watched that.
I didn't.
I can't remember. Okay, if you were watching that or not. But once you see it, you're like, oh yeah, it's him, but you kind of don't recognize him right away. But and then we have Paul Reese as Duncan, Richard E. Grant as Sir James Catton, Rosamund Pike as Elspeth Catton, Carey Mulligan as Pamela, and Alison Oliver as Venetia Catton. So I couldn't find budget numbers, but box office was 21 million, 21.4. And I think this wasn't in theaters for very long. I don't even remember hearing about it until it was on streaming, to be honest. Because it went.
Me too.
I think it went like after 4 weeks in the theater. I think it went to Amazon Prime. So for scores, IMDb gives this a 7.1 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a 71 as well, 71%. Google users, of them, 74% liked this movie. And Letterboxd gave it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Okay, so I just have a quick little summary here. Struggling to find his place at Oxford University, student Oliver Quick finds himself drawn into the world of the charming and aristocratic, I know that word, Felix Catton, who invites him to Saltburn, his eccentric family's sprawling estate, for a summer never to be forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from here on out, we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie. I highly recommend that if you haven't seen it, you go watch it. And you don't look anything up about it at all. Like, you go in blind. I went in blind. I felt like it was the best experience ever. Don't look anything up. Just go and watch it. And then come back and listen to this episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. Okay, now, Felicia, I want to know, how did you feel about this movie?
Okay, so I loved this movie. And you probably were getting a little bit of that with how I was talking about it at the Stabbies. I referred to it as decadent and delicious. I think I referred to Barry as lickable. And
you sure did.
We'll get into what I mean by that.
Okay,
but
perfect.
I think it's just because it's so... when I'm thinking about this movie, all the words that come to my mind are edible words. And I don't know why. It's so rich. It's so decadent. It's so delicious. It's like, these are the things that are coming to my mind. And that's why... I thought the performance of Barry's performance was lickable.
Delectable.
Delectable. Yes, it is delectable. I absolutely loved it. It was gorgeous. The acting is phenomenal. I looked at Steve and said, this is acting. And guys, I know that sounds like such a bitch thing to say because I couldn't act that way, but I'm also not trying to be an actor. Okay. Right. This is what I want to experience when I'm watching a movie. It was absolutely amazing. And the second time around, because the first time I wasn't watching it for the podcast, I was just watching it. And so every once in a while I might've been distracted with the kids or whatever. Because when I'm watching it for the podcast, I'm taking notes and I'm watching it with a different eye than other things that I watch. So the second time I watched it, and it was during the day, and I was able to just tune in and take notes and really look at it. The comedy in it, because it's listed as a dark comedy, right? Or really stuck out the second watch. Yeah. Because I wasn't like, what the fuck is going on? Like, not what the fuck in a bad way, but in a like, what is going on here? I went in blind as well. I had no idea what to expect. So second watch, I was able to really, it's not like you can miss the humor if you're really watching it because it's most definitely there. Yeah. And it was honestly even a better experience my second watch.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I liked my second watch better for sure. Just because you just pick up on more. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's how I felt in a nutshell.
Awesome. I'm so excited.
How about you?
Yay. I was so excited when you brought it up too at the Stabbies because I didn't go back and look at your picks. I think you changed them.
Yeah,
last minutes. So I didn't see it coming. But I was like, oh, she liked it. She really liked it.
Actually, I want to go back. You guys should check out that Stabbies episode when it's out because I can't go back. It's already recorded. I would like to go back and nominate Saltburn for Movie of the Year. I did Leave the World Behind, but I would like to do Saltburn. And I also really regret my best actor runner-up. Mm-hmm. It was... I guess I don't regret it. She was really good in Cobweb, and her name is escaping me right now.
Oh, Lizzie Kaplan.
Lizzie Kaplan. She was really good. She deserves it totally. I was just like my runner-up.
Right.
Thing is important to her at all. But what I would like to do is I would like to Rosamund
Pike.
Rosamund Pike. I want her to be my runner-up. Watching her this second time. Dude, she just blew me away. I just loved her. So
good. Yeah. Yes. Amazing. Okay, I'm so glad. And I'm so still excited to try to make you like it even more with my thousands of notes. I like right before we got on here too, I'm like going through the notes and I'm like, this is way too fucking much information. I got to delete like half of my notes. So I was just like culling notes and I still have a lot. So I'll try to maybe not, just slam you with information about this. But it should come as no surprise, obviously, that I love this movie because I picked it for our birthday month. And I just thought this was fucking phenomenal. Like I said, I went in totally blind. I didn't know what to expect, but I knew that people were freaking out about it. I knew people were like, there's some kind of disturbing or shocking element to this movie. And I wasn't sure what it was, but I was like, I'm just going to see because I have to watch this. And I watched it when Jade was out of town. And I enjoyed the experience so much. It is a slow movie. And I get that. But I was actually feeling the opposite of how you feel in a lot of slow movies. Like, how sometimes you'll check the time to be like, how much time is left? I was doing the opposite. I was pausing the movie because I was like enjoying it so much that I like had to give it breaks a little bit because like just the intensity of some of the scenes and stuff. Like I was like, this is incredible. And I wanted to like elongate the process of watching it. It was so good. And then I was like, that sucks that I just watched that without Jade. And now he needs to watch it. So as soon as he got home, I made him watch it. And I tried not to be like super forceful about it, but I was like, why don't we just start it? Like we'll just start the movie. We'll see how you feel. And then if you hate it, we can turn it off. But he ended up fucking loving it too. We are still talking about it weeks later. We've had lengthy discussions about it. It's just, you're so right that it's a rich movie. It's so well curated. The look and the feel is incredible. I nominated Emerald Fennell for Best Director for Stabbies because I think that, especially after watching a lot of interviews with her, she had a very specific direction and she fucking nailed it. And this movie is such a weird fucking mix of like genre and tone and look and feel. It just feels unique to me to any other movie. And if you had like described it on paper, I think I would have been like, I don't think I'm into that. But it was just an experience. So clearly I loved it. And I'm going to give you all kinds of tidbits and fun stuff. But I am just like, everybody should watch this movie.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn, but I think I said it best on the Stabbies. It is decadent.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Everything. It's so... Oh, I also nominated Emerald for a Best Director. Yeah. She deserves it.
She deserves it. She deserves it. Totally.
I just want you guys to know she deserves it. I as well felt like I was watching, oh gosh, it was just so amazing. Like the Shakespearean tragedy. It like an ultimate classic. It's like how I felt when I was in high school. This is going to sound nerdy, but I'm just going to say it. Like when I was reading the classics like Great Expectations or Catcher in the Rye, To Kill a Mockingbird, or even The Great Gatsby, like all of these just rich classics. I felt like I was watching that.
Yes. Yeah. I unfortunately deleted one of my, in my culling thing, I deleted one of my notes about influences, but definitely like a Shakespearean story was one of them.
Okay.
And like there's like these, well, first of all, she has a degree in English literature. So she has a lot of references to, to just pull from creatively from books. And so I can't remember the names of them, but there were a handful that she pulled from. And I have a couple of other notes too that I can mention here.
The Grapes of Wrath, though. I'm just like all of these book names are coming to my mind, but you get the point.
Yeah, I don't know any of these, but because I never read any of them. But she did mention like one of her inspirations was Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. So like Saltburn, the book is named after the house at which the majority of the story's action takes place and tells the tale of a struggling boy who's taken into the home of a wealthy family, not all of whom are happy to have him there, and falls obsessively in love with one of their offspring. Something else is during one of the university this is kind of more of an Easter egg, but during one of the university tutorials at Oxford early in the film, Oliver mentions Robert Browning's poem, My Last Duchess. This is a poem which has a number of parallels with the film. So it's narrated by a man telling the story of his lost love, a beautiful aristocrat who was also loved by many others. However, as the story progresses, the narrator explains his growing resentment of the aristocrat's romantic interest in other people, as well as their lack of romantic interest in the narrator himself, and it eventually becomes clear that the narrator ended up murdering this person. This mirrors the story of Oliver and Felix in Saltburn. In addition, a key element of the poem is the fact that the narrator keeps a picture of the aristocrat in his home following the murder, and the last scene of Saltburn echoes this too by showing that Oliver kept a picture of Felix on display as well.
That is so brilliant.
You like those references, huh?
Yeah, I did like those references. I have a question, though, about something you said, because this is a question I had throughout the movie. Was Oliver in love with Felix because it could be so obsessed of almost wanting to be like adoring and loving him in the way of like wanting to be him. So not necessarily like it was like if Felix was like, hey, I like you too, and they became a couple and then they lived happily ever after, but more this he is the epitome of the perfect man. He has everything that Oliver wants. So he's more like in love obsessive in that way.
Yeah, it's a good question. And I don't have a straight up answer for you. I think you can read it in any way, really. I did hear in one of the interviews with Emerald, she said, that the opening monologue from Oliver where he's saying, I people thought I was in love with him, but I wasn't or he's saying, but was I in love with him? And she says, you know, the idea that you would be saying that the idea that you would be licking the bottom of a bathtub of somebody's, like, there's no way to do that and not be in love with them to some degree. But I think you're right. And that's my read on the film personally, is that it's kind of a mix of both. But I think a lot of this is definitely the desire to consume that person wholly, to take their place almost.
Yeah. Okay. So in this, at the end, it seems very clear that he planned this. Do you think, well, yeah, he had to have planned it because they show him letting the air out of the tires. Do you think he went to college with this plan to find this very rich kid and do this type of a plan? Not know exactly how it was going to take shape, but find them, latch on to them, weasel into the family, and then take everything from them? Or it just, his obsession with being him, and it kind of just developed that way?
I don't know. This is also a good question. Personally, I feel like probably, I don't know, to be honest, dude. Like, I want to say that he didn't plan it that far in advance, that he got there and he saw this person and that's where he saw the opportunity. Because one of my big questions after my first watch was, yeah, did he meticulously plan all of this, or did he have to on the fly change up his strategy? And rewatching, I realized there had to be a lot of thinking on his feet and changing up the plan, because he had no way to know, for example, that they were going to make him pay for a round of drinks. So he had to come up with that, I don't have any money, on the spot, because he couldn't have like counted on them to do that.
Yeah.
So,
or that one piece, remember when he overly cleaned Felix's room and then Felix was just like now backing away from him? Because I keep remembering that scene where Felix was saying, yeah, I'm just going to hang back and study. And then Oliver goes out and sees Felix partying with his friends. So that scene when Oliver's walking down the street and he's like grabbing his hair and kind of like, oh shit. The first time I watched it, I saw it as someone sad that because he loves Felix and now he's being rejected by Felix. On second watch, I thought, no, he's like, fuck, do I start over with someone new, or do I find a different way to maneuver my way back into his life? Which that's what he did.
Right.
So it just, wow.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because he's lost control of the thing, you know, like, and so he needs to get back in there. And the way that he does that is by coming to Felix and saying that his dad has died.
Yeah.
And like, oh God, it's just brilliant, because like, that's what Felix wants, not probably consciously. I watched an interview with them too. And I think Jacob Elordi like backed this up in the way that he was like, I don't think Felix is consciously trying to find some, you know, pet to play with, basically. But there is this unconscious need to find somebody who's having a hard time, and it's this like broken bird syndrome. Like, I can help you, you know, come along with me, little bird, kind of a thing. And so I don't think that he is consciously trying to be a bad person in that way. But upon rewatch, you realize Oliver keys into everyone's motivation and plays to that specific thing that they want. And so that's the first time. I mean, maybe not the first time, but that's definitely a part of that manipulation that you see with Felix.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He does. He knows. And he's confident from the very beginning. So he seems like maybe because a couple people tease him or whatever, that he might be, you know, meek. But he most definitely is not. You can tell just in his conversations with his counselor. And sorry, what was the other character's name?
Farley,
where he stands up for himself. Like Farley says something about, oh, you use this too much, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, no, I actually don't think I do. So he does have a confidence in himself. Maybe it's just a mix of everything. Maybe he sees this. Maybe he goes to school. Maybe. He goes to school not with this intention of I'm going to take someone over. Maybe with the intention, though, I hope to make connections and elevate myself from the circumstances I have, and whatever, and do that. But he sees Felix and does just fall hard for him, and this obsession grows. And so maybe the bike popping the tire was just the beginning of forcing them to be together, forcing this friendship and this connection. Not necessarily with the long-term goal of taking over his whole family, but as his obsession grows with him and everything grows, then what happens. And he is smart and he is confident and strong. And so he is thinking on his feet and maneuvering. And ultimately this is what he gets.
Yeah. And I wonder what your read, because we don't know for sure, but I wonder what you think about when he made the decision to either kill Felix or kill the rest of the family that he kills. Like, I think it could be at multiple points. Do you have like a moment that you think?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I can't wait to hear your answer, because I really thought it was at his last rejection. So when Felix takes him to see his parents and realizes he's been lying, and so now has rejected him, and there's no way back to that. And then being intoxicated, he tries. Like, I wonder, would it be different if when Felix was having sex at the fountain in the middle of the labyrinth with that girl, when Oliver walked up, what if he was like, I loved you, I've done everything for you? What if Felix was like, I love you too, and started kissing him? Would he have killed him?
Yeah, I wondered that too, because, it feels like killing him wasn't necessarily the first goal, but it became necessary when he couldn't manipulate him in the way that he wanted to, or where he felt like he was in control.
Yeah.
So I wonder about that too. We don't know for sure.
Oh, so that is a really good point. And I'm curious, just to make sure that I saw it right, did he poison so he poisoned that, gave it to him to drink. And is that why he made himself throw up?
Yeah, I don't even think he's drunk.
Oh.
Well,
so he did.
Maybe he did drink it and then he made himself throw up so that he didn't get poisoned. I didn't even think about that.
That's risky.
I thought, I know. Yeah, totally. That's why I just assumed that he was pretending to be drunk and like just made himself throw up to seem more drunk.
Unless he was drunk because he was drinking other things. And that drunk fueled rage, obsession, and lust made him go, I'm going to take him out, and then gave him the bravado to take that extra step. Because I just wonder if he would have started making out with him and being like, you know what, I love you too. And I don't know that he would have killed him.
But yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
At some point, the jig was going to be up no matter what, like really. I think as a character, Felix was not going to go along with this forever. So I think no matter what, he would have ended up dead, because he can't, Oliver, when he realizes he can't manipulate people, he kills them,
Yeah, just like the sister. She got right in his face and she was just like, you fucking weasel, this and that and this and that. So
yeah, as soon as she saw him for his real self, she had to go. I kind of wonder if it's not on second. I think there's a bunch of moments that it could be, right? But on the second rewatch, I really wondered if it wasn't the conversation with Farley at his party, because Farley shows back up and he's like, this is my home. This will always be my home. And he was like, you will talk about this to your grandkids and talk about like Oliver's wild summer like fuck fest, or I don't remember what he says, but he was like, you're going to think about it. You're going to masturbate to it. You're going to tell your kids about it, and you'll never be able to like get it back ever again. And I wondered if that wasn't the moment that he's like, you know what? You're right. And I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure that that's not what happens, because I do want this to be my life, my house. And so
I like that, Tawny. So even just starting and going to that school, there's this level of what he hopes for his future and the people that he hangs out with, who he wants to be. And as his obsession grows with Felix, it also grows in that desire that he wants to be a part of this world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I like that.
He
realized when this is over and they go back to school, they wouldn't even be friends with them anymore.
Yeah, totally. Yes. And again, I think you see that with Felix. He's like, please, I just want to stay friends with you. And he's like, well, let's just finish out the summer or your birthday party or whatever, and then you need to leave. I think that is where it feels very final. Like, oh, I'm not going to be able to keep this going. And so it's time for plan B.
Holy shit.
Yeah, along these same lines, one of my favorite scenes rewatching was the scene with Farley, Oliver and Farley at the karaoke, when they're doing the karaoke. And this is such a like rich scene, because you see like Felix, or sorry, I keep mixing up their names, Oliver try to manipulate Farley, and you almost feel like it's working. And Farley seems to like give in a little bit. And so he thinks he's got him, but then Farley turns around and has him get up and sing that song about other people paying the rent. Right. And he makes Farley come and sing it as well. And I think that's the moment when he realizes he can't manipulate Farley. And that's why he escalates that situation and goes and like tries to seduce him.
There was an aggressive violence to him that versus a seduction.
Venetia.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was a seduction for sure.
Yes.
But this was almost like, I do own you.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. That was incredible.
Yeah. So I loved the play of that, because you watch it happen in real time where you think like, oh, maybe he's got him. No, he doesn't. Farley's too smart. Farley's the only one in this family who has a little bit of street smarts and can see this coming, and he's really similar to Oliver. You know, they both see details. They pay attention. They are very smart. And so he realizes I can't manipulate him. So he tries to, force him. But even on top of that, he sends that fake email to get Farley kicked out of the house on top of it. So he's like, I'm taking care of you, I'm getting rid of this guy.
Yeah, it's so great, because it's like, even Farley, you're right. He is so smart, and he's also so unlikable. just like so pompous. And I know they all are, but like Felix has this sweet, tender side to him.
Yeah.
That comes out, and everyone else is just so pompous.
Totally. Yeah. He is very like mean,
Yeah.
Along these same lines, I just have one other note about like influences. So Fennell cited Lucy's, Lossey's The Servant from 1963. I think that's a movie. I have not seen it. But she cited that movie as an influence because of its undeniable erotic power that relies entirely on the threat of violence, not just literal violence, but a complete chaotic upending of the status quo.
Ooh.
And I read that and it gave me chills, because I felt like that was exactly the scene with Farley.
Yes. Ooh, I got chills too.
Ooh, I'm also getting chills. Talking about getting chills.
Excellently done. Chills upon chills.
I have kind of another note here, just that's sort of related to Farley. So they were interviewing Emerald, and they asked about what she thinks Oliver's future holds after the events in the movie. And she responded, well, Farley is still around somewhere. Duncan knows. The way that Duncan looks at Oliver at the final funeral is clear. He did not cover his tracks enormously well. and you can't win. You can't really get into the upper echelons of British society without being born into it. So she said, I don't know what this word is. She said, so, it will be a Pyrrhic, Pyrrhic. Do you know what this is? Mm-hmm. I should have looked it up, but here we are. Okay. I don't even know if that's how you say it.
Of a victory, won at too great a cost to have been worthwhile for the victor.
Okay. I don't know how to pronounce it, but thank you, Felicia.
You're welcome.
She says it's that kind of victory. Whether it means that he lives there alone for the rest of his life or not, he didn't get what he wanted, not really. And so in the end.
Oh, that's really cool to think about, because he wanted to be a part of that society, but he never will be. Even though he has the house, the money, the estate, he'll always be on the outside.
Yeah.
Ooh, I really like that.
I know. Isn't it great?
It's so layered.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. I'm gonna bring up my favorite scene.
Okay.
Which is the most controversial scene, I believe.
Okay.
And it was the grave scene.
Okay.
Okay. When he has sex with the grave, everybody. And I think I saw that it was bothering a lot of people. So I did not look anything up. So I would love some confirmation from you, because my daughter told me this. Because I was watching the scene again, and she came in and went, oh my gosh, because her and her girlfriend watched this movie and were just like so disturbed by it. So that's why I was excited to see what's going on.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my gosh, this scene. And I'm like, but you guys, I'm getting cold chills thinking about it. It is Barry Keoghan. Is that his name?
Yeah.
As I say, is now one of my favorite actors.
I know. He's so good.
I'm covered in cold chills right now. He's so fucking brilliant, so incredibly dedicated to this role, and not in a I'm going to vomit in a dish and actually eat it type of method acting sort of situation. Like, he just oozes this character, just fucking amazing. I can't even describe how amazing watching his performance in this movie was. I feel honored to have been able to witness his performance in this movie. And that is one of those scenes that there is nothing holding him back. You don't see any stumbling. You don't see anything that pulls you out of this scene. It is so real and so rich. The emotion is just like pouring from him, like the rain is pouring out of the sky in that scene. It is fucking brilliant. And my daughter told me it was all improvised.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I've seen things from both sides on this. And so I'm not actually 100% sure. I'll read to you what I have here. And then I'll kind of tell you the couple of things that I've also heard. So I have, originally Oliver was to remain fully clothed for the grave scene, kissing the dirt and using his fingers suggestively. On the day of shooting, Barry Keoghan requested a closed set so he could improvise. On paper, he wasn't written to do that, Keoghan said. But I wanted to see what happened, where I would take it. I wanted to be confused and let my body lead the way. What am I doing? How do I get closer? It's trying to find that new level of obsession, trying to level up on the obsession. It's quite sad because he didn't even know what to do. He's a lost boy, confused, and doesn't know what he's chasing. This shows Oliver, in addition to his obsession, also has some guilt of killing Felix.
Okay.
So then I've also, I heard an interview with Emerald where she said, this is where I'm getting like, I got a little bit of this at the end scene as well. Like, I've heard from both sides that maybe Barry suggested it or maybe Emerald did, or I'm not sure. But she said in this interview that she was talking to Barry and she asked him, do you think he would unzip? And Barry was like, give me a closed set. Let me just go. And like then improvised from there. So like, I don't know. It was maybe a group effort. And I did hear her say, I think it was in that same interview, that she was like, this whole crew of people, cast and crew, like we really worked well together, and we really pushed each other to go deeper and like to do more. And so she mentioned a couple takes, like the bathtub scene with Venetia. At some point, they were just kind of riffing a little bit. And so they were improvising. It sounds like they did a handful of improvised scenes where, Oliver got into the bathtub with Venetia, and she wasn't expecting it. So her reaction was natural. And she said also that when Venetia in the scene in the movie puts her fingers in his mouth, that he wasn't quite expecting that either. So I think that it was probably, there was just like a lot of, collaboration on set for some of these things.
Well, that is a huge like mazel tov to Emerald for creating such an environment that she is truly helping bring out the best in these actors, that they are so immersed in this, that they're doing things that are surprising each other, but also just adding that hunger to the movie.
But also not losing the vision that you have. I mean, because it's so easy to start taking suggestions and have something just change the tone of your movie. A small thing can change the entire tone. And so I'm really impressed with her. And again, why I was like best director of the year, for her ability to do that. Because I do think that's a mark of a great director, because she obviously is willing to take suggestions from other people, work collaboratively. And she was like, at the end, she was so happy with this final product. She was like, I'm of course nervous to debut this movie, but I like it so much. I'm so happy with it that like, it's fine in the end if people like don't like it or whatever, because I like it so much. And I think, as a whole, it sounds like people had a lot of fun on set.
Yes. I also really liked his one of my favorite scenes every time I see it is the ending scene. And I think it's just because it's the visuals are beautiful. Him going through the house, and he's flawless. His performance is flawless. And I just really enjoyed watching it.
I agree.
I feel emotional.
To go back, I have a couple more things about the grave scene that I definitely want to mention. So on one hand, or in an interview with her, I heard her say that she definitely got some pushback on the scene where he gets totally naked at that point. And they were pushing back because they were like, you could cut it a little earlier. Like, you don't have to show the whole thing. And she was like, no. And here's why. Because if you cut it too soon, it's a joke. It becomes a gag within the edit of the movie. And that is not what we're going for here. And I loved that because it's so fucking true. And it's like just those tiny things can make a huge difference in the edit process. Again, that throws off the entire tone of that scene because that is not what they're going for. It is an emotional, heavy, confusing, sad, fucked up. And I'm sure people are giggling because it's kind of funny and absurd, at the same time. But it's not really intended to be a comedic joke about like fucking the dirt,
I think if anybody thought that was funny, I bet it's because they felt uncomfortable.
Right.
Because totally. I didn't pick up I thought it was beautiful and devastating. Devastating
is a great word. Oh, you're killing it with these words.
Yes, it's the movie.
Yes. Devastating. Also, I saw a note from a different video. I'm going to link a handful of fucking sources in our Discord because I just have them if you want to look into it more. But one of the videos I watched mentioned he's like so low in the frame. And he's so low in life, but also like what he's done now. He's stooped so low. He's such a feels and is so pathetic in this moment that he's at the very bottom of the frame, which was really cool. Cinematography little.
Yes.
Standpoint.
Okay. I said to Steve, because he watched it the second time. He was doing something, but he was kind of watching it the second time. And they have that shot of him at the bottom and all the sky. I said, this would make a great movie poster.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I would hang this on my wall.
Yes.
And then all the people that come over to my house. Oh,
Okay, one more thing on this. And then maybe we won't let it go. I don't know. So that same scene is, I also heard it was inspired by, and this makes sense. I don't think you have to be like naked for this, for her first thought to be about the scene, but it is in reference to Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights scene, in which Heathcliff attempts to dig his way through the soil in the hope of reaching the body of his lost love, Catherine.
Oh, I just got cold chills again. Oh gosh, that's so beautiful. All right, so how about this? Let's talk about that scene with the period blood.
Okay. I like how we're going backwards. Let's go.
Yeah, we're gonna go backwards.
Let's go backwards. Why not?
Because this was another shocking, just, it was so seductive and you could feel, and he obviously was masterfully controlling her and, seducing her, but then going to that level and the amount of, I don't know even how to explain this though, but the control he had and that he gained from just pushing the limits of what's expected and then pushing her to partake in the limits of what's expected. So for everybody, they were getting, this sexual tension, and she's like, I can't, I'm on my period. And he put his hands in her, licked his hands, then put him in her mouth. She was shocked. She was like, he just had complete control of her in that moment. And it was just indescribable and absolute art and disgusting and amazing.
Absolute art. I agree.
Absolute art.
The scene. It's so great. I love the way that it even starts, right? There's like this wide shot of him swaggering down the steps. Oh, and the dialogue is so good because she's like, this is my house. I can be wherever I want. And he's like, okay. And you chose to be half naked under my window, my bedroom window. Oh, it's so like from beginning to end, this scene is amazing. I just love it. She
wants him to come after her, but she also wants to maintain the upper hand and this whole idea of she's better than him and he should be so lucky to be with her. And he flips that right over. Oh yeah.
She like does not stand a chance, basically. And they say really early in the movie to him that Venetia's been draping herself all around the house waiting for you to arrive. And that's like exactly what she's doing. What I love about this scene too is that it is so shocking, but it is also it is like a very erotic.
Yes, scene. Erotic. Good word. Yes, it's very erotic.
And I love it.
So is the grave situation was very erotic too.
And the bathtub scene, which we get to next. We haven't
even talked about the bathtub scene.
That'll be next. We'll get to it. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was incredible. And I have a few notes on this as well. So in general, though, Emerald said that she considers this a vampire movie, even though the story doesn't have supernatural elements. So that's obviously a nod to when Oliver refers to himself as a vampire in this scene, because he said, I can't remember the actual line. I think he says, does he just say, I'm a vampire?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but he does say that he's a vampire, or maybe I'm a vampire, something like that. And so I also found another video that drew some parallels to this, and I thought it was really interesting. So obviously he's consuming blood, which is a vampire thing to do. But he also drinks the entire family dry by the end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And he only kind of reveals his real self at night. So like early on in the movie when he's like watching Felix have sex, he's like outside at night.
Oh, you're right.
And the scenes with Venetia.
You're absolutely right. Even the final scene with Felix is at night at the party in the labyrinth.
Yeah. So anytime he kind of unmasks, it's nighttime. I was like, that's such a good parallel.
Dude, Emerald's brilliant.
I know. And she had a lot of her reference point and, inspiration visually, as well as probably the story, was all very gothic. So she's talked about that a lot in a lot of her interviews, is like they were going for a very gothic look and feel with the lighting, with obviously the location of Saltburn, but even like, you see when people are eating dinner at Oxford, like that's a very gothic looking scene as well. So that is really carried throughout the entire movie. And I think, bringing it back to this scene in particular, what I just love that shot of him walking down the like misty steps in the middle of the night. It is so like vampiric.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't think of that when I was watching it, but now all of it is flooding back to me. And I'm like, oh, that's spot on.
Yeah. You know what I saw earlier today that I thought I would love a poster of this? It's actually the shot through the hedges of the maze at night at his party. And he's just in silhouette and he's got the stag horns and he's got his head like cocked a little bit. So he looks again cocky, like his body language is that way. And the hedges, come up the center of the frame. So you just have this sliver of light over him, yes. But he's silhouette. And I was like, this would make an incredible poster.
That is just masterful, that as we're watching this movie, there's several moments where we're like, ooh, wish I had a still frame of that. Wish that was in a poster. Would love to have that on my wall.
Yeah. And there's even things that I didn't even notice as I was watching it. I think that's one of the things that I personally, one of my big takeaways was like, everybody said the cinematography in this movie is like off the charts. It's beautiful. It's great. It's just so good. But to me, I didn't actually notice it at first. And even watching the movie a second time, I get too swept up in the story to pay attention to the cinematography a lot. So I found online, I think I came across a TikTok video where they were talking about the shot. And so I feel like I need to go back and watch it again just to try to pay attention to these really cinematic, beautiful shots. But it was when they're in Felix's room at university and it's really hot. Do you remember? And he's laying on the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like a red carpet and the light is coming in through the windows. You can see Felix laying, but in shadow as his like mirrored upside down opposite is Oliver Quick, his like profile. And I like would have never noticed it had it not been freeze framed and pointed out to me. But you have this like duality of the two of them. I'm just like, how the fuck do you
could you post that if you have that video? Because I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'll try to find it. And then I heard, and she was talking about the scene, Venetia's death scene in the bathtub, and how still the water is, and they needed the water to be still so you can see his reflection in the water. I didn't even notice. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it to see it.
I'm going to have to go back and watch too. I didn't notice his reflection.
How great of cinematography. Like, that's fucking crazy, dude. Because people say that about editing and lighting. Is that the best editing and lighting? Like, you don't notice. It's invisible to you. And I felt, for the first time, I feel like I felt that about the cinematography of this movie. I actually can't pay attention to how beautiful it is because I get too wrapped up in the story.
Yeah. I agree, because when I'm thinking of her in the bathtub, I think I was just staring at her face, like in the bloody bathtub.
Yeah.
So I didn't even look at the reflections that were in the water. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
That's incredible.
One more note kind of on this, just while we're talking about it. So they did shoot and show this in a 1.33 by 1 aspect ratio, which is like a 4 by 3 aspect ratio. And now everything's in 16 by 9, right? It's like widescreen. But Emerald said that it gives the impression of peeping in. I know. It's so good.
I got cold chills. Like, ooh.
Did you notice, did this like bother you at all? That it was square instead of widescreen?
I didn't even notice.
Okay.
I honestly, I can't even picture it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another testament to me about how fucking cool the cinematography is.
Now I want to go back. I'm going to have to go back and watch it again because I didn't notice that at all.
I know. I noticed it at first because I was like, oh, I didn't realize this is a 4x3. That's a fucking weird choice. I'm not excited to just watch this square movie for 2 hours. But I immediately forgot about it. Like, I just completely forgot. And I just think it's a testament to the fucking cinematography that you don't even notice.
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
Crazy.
Wow. Okay, Fennell or Fennell? What's the
Emerald.
last name?
I thought it was Emerald Fennell.
Well, Emerald Fennell is now one of my favorite directors, along with Eggers. I want to see so much more from her, like so much more. Sounds like I'm wrapping up. I'm not. I was just saying. Like, I just absolutely adore her. I have this note here. So the mom, I love her. She was so funny in her very first. This is when the comedy hit me. Well, you have that one guy who, okay, first, actually, let me talk about this. You have the one guy who's like, I can do any math. Ask me about the math. You know, like, so and you're like, oh shit, dude. But then right after that, at some point, you have the scene where Oliver, I am going to tie these together. Oliver's meeting with his counselor. I read all the books. He's like, what? You read all the books? Blah, 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 blah. And I realized this environment, like you have, I think of going to a school like that and how amazing all the stuff, the access to knowledge I would have. Yeah. But really, it is all of these massive egos where you have not only the students competing against themselves. I'm better than you. I have more money than you. I have more style than you. I have more smarts than you, whatever it is. But you also have the teachers and competing with the students, you know, like they have a great idea. It's not as great as my ideas, or if they feel threatened in any way with where they are in their placement. And there's just even that one kid's like, let me prove myself to you that I'm fucking brilliant. It's like insane. So anyways, there was that. I thought that was very cool. But the very first time that the comedy really punched me in the face was when his mom says, I have the note over here, I have a complete abhorrence to ugliness ever since I was young. Like, this is like some type of a special abnormal thing for her. That's, you know, I just, ever since I was little, I don't know what it is. I have an abhorrence to ugliness. And I think the first time I was watching them, I might've been distracted, and they do speak kind of fast. And so I didn't pick up on the comedy, but when I heard that, I laughed out loud. And then I just zoomed right in to all of this back and forth. There was one thing where the mom goes, look, that just gave me goosebumps. And the other woman with the red hair, she goes, oh no. Just everything, this family, I loved it. It was hilarious.
Yeah, I'm so glad, because you had messaged me ahead of time. You were like, I don't see the comedy in this. And I was like, yeah, it is a very dark comedy, obviously. Like, you got to be prepared for that. But I definitely think these are the funniest scenes, is with the family. They are so funny. For me, it was when it's that first scene that he gets to Saltburn and walks into the room, and everything happens so fast. And Elspeth is just like, I love this. This is one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie.
That's when she says that about the ugliness, having an abhorrence to ugliness. Yeah.
Yeah. But it all happens so quick because Pamela's in there, and she's basically like, get out, Pamela. Like, go find somebody in the house. And she's like, you can do it. Bye. And then she's like doting all over, you know, Oliver instead. And just her fucking dialogue and the delivery is incredible, because she's just like, tell me everything. What does she say? She goes, nothing shocks me. Tell me everything. Because she already knows about like this whole made up story about his like parents being addicts and his dad dying. And she just like thrives off of this drama and wants to know, but she's going to turn around and tell everybody the minute you walk out of the room, for sure. Like,
yes,
it was,
you know, what struck me with this, with her, how, you know, we think of being rich, and believe me, universe, I wouldn't mind to be filthy rich, but we think of like, oh, being rich and all this luxury and all this excitement and what an amazing life. But they just showed how they have everything and also nothing, how utterly bored they are, that really what keeps her going. What was her name? The mom's name?
Elspeth.
Elspeth, yes. What keeps her going, the fuel, is the gossip.
Yeah.
That is what keeps her life interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. And the fact that, sorry. Okay. So many things were going through my head.
Okay.
They sat down for dinner. I'm like, they are eating dinner with tuxedos. And then I thought, well, I guess if you're that filthy rich and you literally have nothing to do, why not dress up to the nines for your dinner in your own dining room and definitely throw a party? Let's throw a party. Let's make it a big ass deal, because what else do you do? They just made being that wealthy look so boring.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's definitely like a luxury to it, like they're fucking
Yes.
hanging out around the pool all summer and it's nice. But for sure, the adults at least like do look like they're
Yes.
pretty bored. And I think that's a big theme of this movie is like, you can never have enough, basically. And, there will always be the desire and the never ending quest for more and more. And, I've heard her also talk about how the Cattons, even though they're so wealthy and rich, they really are trying to also like put on this air of like casualness that
This down to earth.
Yeah, that they're really trying to portray, but they are just not like. And you see that in the scene where he's like, yeah, we're really chill and laid back, but just make sure to shave off of your facial hair because my mom hates it and she has a fear of it. So I heard Emerald talk about like, places like this, you have people going like, yeah, everything's totally fine and cool as long as you play by the exact very specific rules that we have for you. So there's this like underlying anxiety also about like, I have to play by the rules and they're so specific, and how the fuck would I even know what they are? But also the family's like, we're chill, we're cool.
Yes. Oh my God. You perfectly said this. Another scene that this is displayed in is when they're having breakfast, right? And he sits down and it's like he has done the most obnoxiously horrible thing to not know that you order the eggs and you go get the food from the bar. Like, yeah, it's just like absurd. And I think Steve even said like, how on earth would he ever know that? He goes, I think even really rich, aristocratic, whatever, really rich people that run in the same circles wouldn't know their rules about breakfast. Like, this is not just like a normal thing that all rich people know. This is how you handle it.
Yeah, it's like the specific Saltburn potentially. Like,
yes, it's very specific to their family. Oh yeah, we dress up in tuxedos and for dinner in our own place. Like, that's probably not everybody. It's very specific to them. So you couldn't even go in there and like probably read a book about what it's like and try to prep yourself for going in there.
I did have another note on this that she talked about this dinner scene and how Felix is like, we dress for dinner. And so I brought you a jacket because I wasn't sure if you had one. And then he says, no, I didn't bring one. But he says, oh, but do you have cufflinks? And Oliver says, no. And he's like, oh, right. OK, well, I'll get you some. And I think I was watching, it was like a freeze frame video with Emerald, and she was saying, this really illustrates that this family is so wealthy that they can try really hard to identify and put themselves in the shoes of somebody less wealthy than them. But there is always going to be a point that they can't go beyond, right? Like, I can anticipate that you might need a jacket, but that he didn't think about needing cufflinks because it's just like baked into the way that they live in this house, day to day throughout the summers or whatever. And I thought that was really a great, like, just very pointed scene.
Yes. Oh, very well said. Oh, one thing in my notes, this is so small, but I really like those small things, everything you're sharing that I didn't even notice. I love that, is when they drove up to the house, when Felix took Oliver to visit his mom and thinks he's doing this great thing for his friend. He's reuniting them. And he drives him and goes, oh, look at the house. Maybe she cleaned herself up. As they're approaching the door, Felix touches that gone fishing sign. Oops.
Yeah.
Anyone watching the YouTube, I'm just making Zoom signs. So he goes, he touches the gone fishing sign. It's very brief. It's very quick. And it's almost right where he realizes, I don't think everything is as Oliver told me, with just that one little moment. I really loved that.
Oh, that was a great moment. You're totally right. I forgot about it. Just like you could see it. It's just a very quick emoting moment with like the eyes. It is just like, like you said,
Yeah. So like shout out to Jacob Elordi as well for his, I mean, I really like him and everything he does. Just what a beautiful, beautiful performance. And that's why I don't remember when we were talking about it, about him being sweaty, about someone being sweaty during the Stabbies.
Yeah.
And ew, but he was all sweaty. And I was like, he was very nicely sweaty. Like that sweat was beautiful because it was a very beautiful scene too, or a very, very beautiful shot with the back of his neck and his hair and the sweat, and then the way that Oliver's talking about him. It was all very seductive and erotic.
Yeah.
And that sweat was fine with me.
Yeah. Leave it in. That was great. I forgot that is probably specifically what they were talking about, because it is like kind of a hot, it's over the summer, so people are hot. And so I wasn't remembering those specific shots, but yeah, those are designed to show how hot he is.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
It'd be lying if anyone's like, ew, his sweat would disgust me. Yeah, right.
I do have like a handful of really other tiny details that I felt like were really fucking awesome of note here. And the first set of things are all related to the time period, right? So this is in addition to being a gothic drama thriller like movie, it's also a period piece because it's set in 2006. And Emerald said that she did that specifically because it's so recent history that it's not cool. She was like, if we set it in like the 80s, 90s, 70s, like 50s, there's this element of like it's been long enough that it's like cool again, potentially. And she said we didn't want to set it in the current, right now, because then it starts to look kind of like a fashion shoot or something. And so she was like, 2006 isn't cool again, which I think it actually is now. I think maybe she had started this process when it wasn't. But so much of the set design, the costume design was focused on that. So Felix does have a Livestrong bracelet, which I think everybody clocked watching it.
Oh, that's awesome. Except
for
me.
Felicia, maybe.
Yeah.
Based on that reaction. In another like freeze frame video from her, she showed as he walks through his bedroom, there's like a very specific IKEA lamp in his bedroom that was of that time. When he's giving Oliver the tour of the house, he's barefoot, right? Chill, relaxed guy. He's got bell-bottom jeans and they're like ripped up at the back the way that it was, because everybody just wore bell-bottom pants and ripped up the back of your jeans. He's got an eyebrow ring, which it sounds like she had to fight for because producers in the studio were like, why would you put an eyebrow ring in this guy's face? He's beautiful.
Did he really get pierced?
No.
There? Okay.
No, it's fake. But she was like, I really fought hard for this. And I was saying, if you were there, okay, in 2006, an eyebrow ring was the hottest thing a guy could have.
Yeah, I think that's a great addition. Good for her.
Yeah.
I really like all these things you're sharing of how strong she is and committed to her vision and not backing down and bending to other people.
Yeah, I mean, she did make a compromise on that one specifically. That's why he's not wearing it at Saltburn. And so they kind of wrote in also that reason about his mom not liking it. But I think it doesn't feel made up for that reason.
Especially with his mom.
Yeah, totally. With the fear of ugliness and beards.
She doesn't even like stubble. She's scared of it. I imagine she doesn't like piercings in her kid's face either.
Right. It's not a huge jump to think that, right?
Yeah.
And then also, this is something that they did, is Venetia's character, I can't remember her name, actor, she did dye her hair or bleached it enough that it got like damaged, because that is also of the time. So they they offered to do a wig. They were like, we can do a wig for you. But she said, no, I'm committing to this. Bleach my hair.
What a great cast.
I know. They really were down, huh? They were like, we're doing it.
They were committed. And I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, because then we get to view your work and it's just like, God, thank you for making it so incredible.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'll just run through these last few quick
But we
things.
didn't talk about the bath
No. Yeah. Well, let's come back to the bathtub
Okay.
scene.
Okay.
Sorry. I just meant of this section.
Oh, of this section. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Little quick details. Number one, this is a little bit more of like either foreshadowing or cinematography type stuff, kind of telling you story points. So when Oliver first gets to Saltburn, there's a shot of the chandelier, and I didn't notice, but there is a fly trap hanging off of the chandelier. And she was saying they shot it and they didn't have that up there originally, but she was like, it's too clean. It's like too sterile. We need something up here, like somebody threw like panties up there during a party or something. So they like quickly got together this fly trap and threw it up there. And one of the things that I saw, she was talking about walking around this house that they actually shot in for Saltburn, right? It's actually a whole house. And they had busts in the home, and they had put like little hats on them. And she was like, this is it. Like, this is the vibe of the movie. You have this long-standing old money opulence, pass through so many generations, basically, that you get to a point where you don't even like realize, you know what I mean? So you're trying to be so casual and cool and like whatever. So you just toss a hat on this bust. So those hats are there on the bus, also in the background of the shots of the like entryway. But that kind of inspired also this like fly trap hanging from the chandelier.
Oh, I love that whole, everything you just shared, that whole thought process. And yeah, there was one scene, and I can't remember what it was, but Steve even said to me, he's like, this just family has no clue.
Yeah.
They're just so who they are and so deep in what you just said, that just generations and generations of wealth that I don't even think they would know how to. I think if they went to, like, if that mom and husband went to Oliver's mom's house, they wouldn't even know how to function. Totally. They put him in a grocery store or something like.
Yeah. No idea. It's totally a different world. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so a few foreshadowing details. Number one, I didn't realize this at first, but there are 4 balls in the little mini version of the maze. Mm-hmm. And those represent the Cattons that end up being like victimized by Oliver.
Oh, okay.
2, so when Oliver says that his dad died and Felix has him right on the stone and throw it into the water, it doesn't make it into the water, right? He throws it into a pile of vomit, which sucks. But it like foreshadows that his dad is actually not dead because it doesn't make it into the water. Whereas later we see Felix, Venetia, and I don't think we see Sir James's stone go in there, but then yeah, definitely.
But at the end, he has them all. He has all 4 of those. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, I'm not sure if you picked up on this little Easter egg, but I thought this was really neat. When they are having breakfast, I think Venetia is telling the story about seeing Percy Shelley walk by the window.
Yeah.
And right as she's telling the story, Felix walks by outside.
Oh, I just got cold chills.
Which also foreshadows his death. Because in the story, she's saying she saw him and he died.
Oh my God, I love that. I have cold chills. I love that. I did notice somebody walk by, but I was so focused on her story because I couldn't hear it very well. And the dialogue was so fast, I actually had to rewind it so that I could kind of catch more of the story. So I think I was uber focused on that and did not make that connection.
Yeah. It was like so perfectly timed that I noticed it because it like right as she says it, she's like walked by the window and he like walks by right then. So I don't know. It was like almost 2 on the nose. Otherwise, I don't think I would have noticed it.
Because then the next one is when the mom goes, "Oh, I got cold chills."
Yeah.
And the redheaded woman goes, "Oh no."
Okay. So now should we talk about the bathtub?
Yes. Another scene where just it's disgusting and erotic
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
There's many of these scenes. Disgusting and erotic. All spread throughout the movie.
And shocking. Yeah.
Yeah. Ugh. Because if
I
you
know.
just think about it, drinking that bath water that he's been sitting in and jerking off in, and then even just French kissing the drain. Ugh.
I know.
Then it's also very sexy.
Yes. Yes. How do you strike the balance? It's amazing.
I don't even know. I heard my daughter told me that Emerald actually wanted Timothée Chalamet for this role, and that Jacob said, "Have you thought of Barry?" I am so like, I love, everyone knows, if you've heard me talk about it, that I love Timothée Chalamet, and I love everything that he does. I think he would have done a great job, I think only Barry could have been this character this eloquently, this perfectly.
I think so too. I mean, just his ability to go from like kind of sad, lonely, Oliver doesn't have any friends, to like fucking seduction vampire Oliver out here with Venetia. You're like that. You have such whiplash. He's so scary actually as a character, because he's able to become whatever the fuck he wants. He almost has he's almost nothing. He's no one, because he can be fucking anybody at any moment that he needs to be. He's a chameleon to the nth degree. And so for him to be able to play that though is fucking impressive.
Mm-hmm. I think his skill just blows it out of the water. I think also his look. He has a very interesting look where Jacob or Felix is quite obviously a beautiful, attractive man. And like, I don't want to be mean, but Oliver has a very interesting look, right? He's a very interesting look. I think Timothée Chalamet would have not been the opposite, or been, I think that maybe he also would have been a little too pretty.
Like too close.
Right?
Yeah.
And he,
totally.
Okay, I'm glad I said, because I don't want to offend him, because I think all of these men are brilliant.
Right.
Because Timothy is going to hear this one day and be like, I'm not too pretty. And then Barry's going to be like, I'm not odd looking.
Right. No, yeah, I think he's not like conventionally attractive, but Jacob Elordi
conventionally
is.
attractive. Yes, thank you. Yes.
And so is Timothée Chalamet. So I do think, they'd be too close. I agree.
I would have loved if this director did Bones and All.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be good. That'd be oh my God. Yeah, that'd be like
right?
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just processing it real time here. That would be an incredible like mashup, really, because I think we would get a lot more probably of this like gothic look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, bring in some of that eroticism too, you know? Bring it in.
I feel
Emerald.
like it needed that.
Yeah.
Because there was this lustful love element that, if I remember correctly, when I was talking about it, I felt was missing on the girl's side, right? And I thought that Emerald could have brought this to the forefront, that is what I think it needs.
Yeah. Going back to the bathtub scene.
Yes.
Let's give this its due. It is gross, but people I think way kind of overblew it. I will say Jade's friend watched it and enjoyed it, but he sent Jade a message, which I thought was very true. And I feel like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't speak for everybody, but he was like, the grossest part of this is that he is like licking the drain, and he's also drinking like the bathwater. Like, actually, at the end of the day, drinking sperm and water is the least gross of what's happening here. Like,
yes, I agree.
That fucking drain. We all know drains. They're disgusting. Nobody even wants to like touch them, reach in there. You get hair all terrible.
Dude,
but people were like freaking out about the like semen aspect. It felt like it was like,
oh God,
that's not crazy.
I'm like looking at my eyeliners. I'm just like having so many facial expressions that my makeup is smearing. I totally agree. So when it had the drain water, I rewound a little bit. I'm like, oh, is that like, was it, because it was very quick when the water was going down the drain. I'm like, oh, is that like sperm in the water? And then I rewound it and I'm like, well, I mean, that could just be like soapy suds. And I think it is assumed that he ejaculated in the water. But then I thought, I don't know, I'm not a man. Would they? Or would they like put it on a shirt outside of the bath? I don't know, guys. Like, because then you're sitting in it. Like, that seems like you need to go take a shower now. I don't know. But either way, I agree. That is not the most disgusting. Not at all. How about just his sweaty ass has been marinating in the water and he's been using soap to clean off his sweaty private parts. And then just the drain of all the people have taken a bath in there and hair and dirt and the tonguing of the drain was probably the most disgusting. As soon as he did that, because he was drinking the water, I'm like, oh, wow. And then he went into the drain and I went, oh, that makes me gag. I actually physically made a noise and Steve goes, what, you don't do that to my drain after I shower? I was like, I don't do that to the drain after you shower.
I'm sorry, I don't love you that much.
Oh God, no. Yeah, I don't even love, no.
But was I in love with him?
Yeah.
But was I in love with you?
Probably not.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people like gagged and tried not to look, but the sound is worse. And so they would like gag hearing it.
I agree with you. The drinking of the water did not make me as disgusted as the drain itself. So
yeah. And the dirty water, not necessarily from semen, but just bathing water. Ugh.
Because feet are in that water and like everything.
Yeah. Ew. Ugh. See? Oh God, I hate feet. Disgusting.
See? And your skin, when you're sitting in the water, it gets peely.
Yeah.
And like flaky.
Dead skin sloughing
I think the semen is the least of his worries.
Totally. Yeah. It wasn't as bad. I think I got it overblown, right? Because that was the only thing that I knew about the movie going in, because I couldn't avoid it on TikTok, was that there was some kind of disturbing bathtub scene. That was all I knew. And so as soon as it starts happening, I'm like, here we go. And then I was like, oh, that wasn't actually that bad. For the reasons I think that people freak out about it.
I actually think that, my daughter and her girlfriend had the same reaction to that. Yeah. I think that's why they're like, oh, God. Maybe we've just seen too much, Tawny.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's true.
They
Watch Teton come back to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They could have been reacting to the period scene, though. I mean, that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was captivating.
Agreed. Captivating.
This would be an episode where we could play it and stop it and play it and stop it and talk about every single moment. But I think the biggest moments, I feel like I'm missing something, because I feel like every single scene is packed with so much beauty that I definitely am not doing it enough justice, is how I feel. But
I was totally worried about the same thing coming in today. I was like, I feel like I could never do enough research to do this movie justice. And so I just did my best, basically, but thought there's no way I'm going to catch everything, and I'm going to forget things that I know I wanted to say. And that's just going to have to be how it is, because there's so much to talk about. And that's why I ended up loving this so much, is it's really a fucking great movie. It's really rich. There's so much. It really is. There's just really a lot to it. And I think a lot of people thought the opposite. I think a lot of people thought it was really shallow or stupid or whatever. And like I said, Jade and I have talked about this for days, and I watched it twice. I would love to watch it again. I just think it is so layered. There's so much going on. And so there's no way that we're going to be able to catch everything. But
no, and you know what? That's okay, because then we left a lot for our listeners to enjoy.
Yeah, true.
I am having the feeling about this movie like I had about Don't Worry, Darling. Just like, I want to watch it again and again. Yeah. That's really nice to feel that way.
I know,
about a movie.
Fun. Yes. Yeah. If you don't have anything else, I do have one last.
Yes, give it to me.
thing.
I don't have anything else.
It's kind of long, so you'll have to bear with me. But I found this incredible article written by Drew Gregory on a site called Autostraddle. And I pulled just like a handful of paragraphs that I thought were awesome and relevant to what I think is the most obvious theme of this movie. And this really kind of turned it around for me, if I'm being honest, because the first time I watched it, I really loved it. But I left feeling like I was confused as I was watching the movie, because I was very much like, oh, this is a movie about wealth and class and the poor versus the rich. And then when you find out that he is actually not super poor, he's like upper middle class, I didn't know what to do with that information, and I was confused and I couldn't quite make sense of it. But then when watching it with Jade saw it, that no, this makes it more interesting and more layered and complex that he's upper middle class. And so I came across this article by chance after we had this conversation, and I feel like it does such a fucking amazing job of like just summarizing and putting this into such poignant words. So feel free to interrupt me at any point, because it is kind of long, but.
Okay, I am ready for it.
Okay, here we go. And I'm just jumping in the center of this article. So it says, viewers and critics alike tend to discuss class critique more when it's framed in the media as rich versus poor. Both seasons of The White Lotus contrast its wealthy guests with people who are middle and lower class. Nobody talks about the upper middle class because the upper middle class don't like being talked about. They simultaneously want to be thought of as rich while acting appalled when accused of holding riches. This is expertly mocked in Bodies, Bodies, Bodies when Rachel Sennot's character spits out, "Your parents are upper middle class," to her friend feigning poverty. An upper middle class existence is instead treated as average in the world of film and television. Most of the recent influx of film and TV satirizing the rich opts for the same easy contrast as The White Lotus. Triangle of Sadness, Glass Onion, Parasite, The Menu, and even less well-known works like The Origin of Evil creates a dynamic of rich versus poor. This allows the viewer to identify with a noble underdog no matter who they're more akin to in real life. One film has taken a different approach. One film has framed its class conflict as ultra-rich versus upper-middle-class rich. As a result, its substance has been called into question and it's been dismissed by many as just vibes. That film is Saltburn. I'm not going to argue that Saltburn is perfect. I agree with people who have said that the ending feels like 10 minutes stretched to 30, but the accusations of vapidity and a lack of substance are baffling to me. To dismiss one plot twist in particular is to ignore the film's entire point. As for Oliver, he was just doing what so many of his class have done. He yearned to go from rich to richest. His lust for Felix is a lust for money, for status, for the violence inherent in both. The sexuality of the film isn't actually that shocking for anyone who has ventured beyond Hollywood fare, but it is pointed and specific. Oliver instigates his sexual encounters with the energy of a groveling sub. He is nothing, they are everything. He will lick their cum, eat their blood, fuck the dirt atop their graves. He is pathetic. The sexual groveling of Oliver is akin... I saw your face, you got chills? Me too.
Yes!
Okay. The sexual groveling of Oliver is akin to the social groveling of anyone, often upper middle class, who worships the ultra-rich simply for being rich. Scroll through Twitter, and you'll see it in every person defending its embarrassing billionaire of an owner. They are staring into a drain, licking proverbial musk semen with every blue-checked post. Wow.
Oh,
Sick
yes!
Burns. Sick burns from Drew. The fact is, nothing Oliver does to secure Saltburn is worse than whatever the Catton family did to get it in the first place. To have that amount of wealth in their family and to keep it requires an immense amount of violence. The difference is Oliver's actions are messy and direct. The violence of a family like the Cattons can often take place far away from them, carried out by those acting in their interests. Ultimate wealth is about making money off murder you never even have to hear about.
Mm.
damn, Drew, just come in. I'm like,
Yeah.
I read this whole thing out loud to Jade and I was just like, this just gets fucking better and better. This is
I want to
insane
read
writing.
more of this guy's articles.
Me too. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Saltburn may be a fun erotic comedy filled with style, but it's also one of the smartest critiques of the upper middle class I've ever seen, and therefore one of the smartest critiques of the ultra wealthy. We need work critical of a family like the Cattons that doesn't allow audiences to ease of identifying with their servants. There is no poverty to be fetishized in Oliver Quick, just a pathetic desperation no amount of money could ever cure. End quote.
That was phenomenal. Because you're right. Because even with Farley, is that right? Okay. They're giving him money and we don't know really what his situation is with his mom, but it's probably not that destitute, or maybe it is. Oh, yeah. I love you. And you're right. With the servants, they were never highlighted it as not liking their job or not being mistreated. The only time was when Farley said actually to Felix, they had mentioned a couple names. He's like, those are your what hand? He called
your
them some
footmen.
Footmen. Those are your footmen. But then Felix's response was like, come on, don't make it seem like I'm such an asshole. I don't know their names. Because I mean, that could have been exactly it, that he doesn't know their names, or he's not equating those two men with the conversation he's having with Farley. Like,
right,
there's probably some people at school he's talking about, not my footmen, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even know where I'm going. I just love that. And I want to read more of what he writes. And I disagree about the end. I absolutely loved the end. I loved every moment of it. And there was one other thing that I don't remember.
Okay. That's interesting. I feel like that's my one qualm. I have one problem with this movie, and it is that I think they gave us too much. They fed us too much. All we needed for the reveal was to see him puncture that tire. That was it. And we could have just left it there. But then we have to like walk through all the steps of him like doing the money thing and then like pretending to type on the laptop when he sees Elspeth the years later. You know, like I feel like that was too much, and it definitely felt like it was like, you know, handing it up to the audience on a silver platter, and we did not need it. Like, you start to get the very first time I feel like that I picked up on him pretending to be somebody and maybe, you know, some shit was afoot was when he flirts with Elspeth and he's like,
yes,
you look beautiful. I was like, oh no, this guy is up to no good, you know? And so you start to realize at that point, oh, I think he might be playing these people, right? So we just needed the first domino. That's all we needed. We didn't need everything else.
I'm sorry, I agree with you. We definitely needed the tire puncture, because when I saw that, I went, oh, I physically grasped my mouth. I was like, oh my God. You're right about everything that followed. I was specifically thinking of him dancing through the house.
Yeah, that's great.
I loved that whole thing. So when they were like, I don't like the end, that's what I was thinking. That they were saying they didn't like him dancing through the house was unneeded, but I disagree. I really loved that.
Disagree also. It's so great. And it really was. I didn't pick up on this, but in another interview I watched with Emerald, she talks about it being the reverse shot of the tour, because Felix leads him into the house, giving him the tour, and it's the exact opposite route of him now alone. I have
cold chills again.
Naked, unmasked, with everything that he has won from this.
You know, I know she said in the very beginning of our episode that he hasn't really won, but I kind of feel like he is so strong and clever that he's going to find his way just fine.
Yeah, I kind of question this as well, because that scene is so jubilant, right? Like like with the music and everything, and he seems so fucking happy that you're like, but is he? I don't know.
I mean, I guess there's going to be a point where he's going to be like them in that house where he's just bored and he's probably not going to go back to school, you know?
Yeah.
And but I just feel like he'll figure out a way. And it's probably going to be a whole life, though, of this deceit and control, unless he really turns around. But I think he'll figure out a way to amuse himself.
Yeah, definitely. God, that scene, I shouldn't have liked it. It's so dark. It's terrible. He murders all these people and then he like dances through the house. I should have hated it on paper. But you can't help but come away from that scene without like a certain giddiness. There's just really something to that scene that you're like, you're so in shock. You're like, I can't believe I just watched this man and annihilate a whole family of people and take over their fucking estate for the sake of like wanting what they had. And now he's dancing naked. Just the sheer audacity of it is so fucking crazy that you're like laughing but it's like exciting. It's like thrilling that you're like, it's just unlike any experience I think I've ever had watching a movie. And I just loved it.
Yeah. You know what? I think everybody, including him, everybody in the movie had this really nice balance of being likable, even if they were just so absurdly obnoxious, but being likable and despisable at the same time, right? So not so much so that you aren't rooting for anyone, you're just not sure who, because you kind of just like them all, but also not. And so that he is the victor at the end and he has all of this I don't know. Yeah. You don't have this feeling of, oh, this is terrible that he won. You kind of celebrate with him.
Yeah. But you're like, why? What am I doing? You know?
Yes.
Yeah. That's exactly what she intended. She's talked a lot about like wanting people to sympathize with, these kind of characters that are like not wholly likable. And, they have flaws as well. So mission accomplished.
Yes, I agree.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Okay. Are we ready to rate this movie?
I'm actually ready, and I'm like ready.
Oh, okay. She's actually ready.
Yeah, because we've said this before. We go, are you ready to rate this movie? And then we spend like 30 minutes looking for what we want to rate it.
And then we cut all that out.
Ready. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Why don't you go first? We'll just wing it.
All right. Thank you so much, Emerald Fennell and Tawny Ray, for giving me my first 5 out of 5 movie of the year.
Yes.
Hands down. On my notes, I haven't even adjusted them. It says right here, 5 out of 5. And then that was after watching it. And I said, I wrote myself a note, like I wouldn't remember this. After marinating with it after the first watch, I loved it even more and felt I would give it a 5 out of 5. I don't know why I put that. Maybe as if you talked me down that I was gonna, but
right.
Hands down, ever since I watched it, when I watched it the first time, I was thinking, the second watch, hands down, 5 out of 5 for me. 100%.
Okay. Amazing.
And I was so excited to talk about it. Like, I'm always excited to meet with you and talk about movies, but this felt special. Like, I was very amped to talk about it and learn about it, what you were all the trivia you're bringing to the table.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I was so excited to talk about it too, because it's like, I don't have anybody to talk to about it. Well, we talked to Paige and Trevor because they watched it. And so we talked to them the other night. But other than that, I don't want to like ruin the movie. So I can't talk about it in a group. I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody else who hasn't seen it. And it's also a fucking weird movie to be like to my coworkers, like, have you seen Saltburn? So I haven't done it. But I was so excited to just talk about it. I haven't gotten this excited to do the research for a movie in like quite a while, to be honest. Yeah. I was just like, I immediately went into research mode as soon as I watched it before we even knew we were going to do an episode on it. So I was just like, this is just fucking flawless. Amazing. First 5 from Felicia of the year.
Yes.
Episode number 2 of 2024.
Yeah, but awesome. Like last year we didn't have any, did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
We didn't, at least that was averaged to be a 5. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we each gave out 5s on our own, but
okay.
What was Steve's? I'm curious about Steve's reaction.
Ooh, that's a good question. So the first time he was like, pretty much WTF was that.
Right.
And the second, I got him to bend a little bit of, I was commenting on things and he was like, yeah, that's true. Like the artistic part of it and my excitement towards it, I think he was starting to look at it in a different way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Than the first watch. So,
because I do feel like it's a hard movie to, it is kind of shocking. It is kind of like, it's easy, I feel like, to kind of dismiss. Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. So I should actually rein that in a little bit. He definitely wasn't like that.
Yeah.
He was like, what did I just watch?
Right.
But he definitely wasn't like, that was garbage. Why
Right.
did you waste my life? Yeah. It was mostly just like, what did I just
Interesting.
watch?
Okay. I'll take that as a win.
Yeah. That was a total win.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I hesitated because remember I was like, oh, let's just do it. Let's rate it. But then I was like, hold on, give me a second. I want to look, right? Because I do have that one problem at the end of the movie. And then I looked at my scores and I said, who the fuck are you kidding, bitch? Just give this movie a 5. Obviously, because I just talked about it for like 2 fucking hours.
I know when you said you weren't ready, I'm like, oh shit, what is she going to rate this movie?
I don't know even what I was thinking. I looked at the scores and I was like, I gave Leave the World Behind like a 4.8. I'm like, I liked this more than that. I loved Leave the World Behind, but I'm like, how am I not going to give this a 5? I have to. It's so great. It's so special. It's like, I feel the same way that it is a special movie and it makes me feel it's that special heart of a 5. Yay. Our first one of the year right off the bat.
And you know what, Tawny? We have been wanting to feel like this for a long time. We refer to our Black Christmas episode a lot of how just giddy and excited we were to talk about a movie. And I think this is the next one. Like this totally deserves a 5 out of 5 from both of us just because of how we feel about it.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, just love it. Yes. And you know what? For all you haters, I'm defending it. This is a horror movie. Okay. It's kind of a thriller, and I think a thriller, we talked about it on the Stabbies, should live under the horror umbrella. Don't come for us.
Yep.
Obviously, this is a horrifying prospect. Somebody comes in and murders your entire family for your riches.
100%. And we stand by it, and we'll go toe-to-toe with anybody regarding it.
Yeah, I'll fight you.
And even if you have, like, I don't know, some factoids that support your argument, I'm still not going to fall for it.
Yeah. I'm not going to fall for it.
I'm not going to fall for your factoids. I refuse. Oh my gosh. Well, that was awesome, everybody. We hope you enjoyed it. We were kind of going back and forth on, do we even say what we're going to watch next? But we do know what we're watching next because we already watched it. Tawny was going to do it for her birthday pick. It's Neon Demon.
Yeah.
Right? I said that right? Yeah. So we're going to do that one next. And please be on the lookout for posts about our Discord birthday party coming up. Remember, my birthday's on the 30th. Tawny's is on the 31st. And we're going to have our birthday party on the 28th or whatever, the Sunday before. Sunday before those days. And hey, definitely check out that link for Magic Mind. If you want to try out, we highly recommend trying it out. Feeling better. You're going to really like it. And if you like us, please do look for us on your social media platform. I'm saying this all backwards. You can find us on Instagram. 100% we're there at 2 Chicks and a Horror Flick, or search for us on your favorite social media platform. What else, Tawny?
You can support the show by giving us a like, review, and subscribe on whatever podcatcher you're listening to us on. So thanks for joining us. We hope you have such a good night. No nightmares.